Hey, welcome back to Hooked, the kayak English resource, Travis. We got a good one today.
Absolutely, got to spend some good time at the Bassmaster Classic. So, I know you were down there all week. I went down there for, the weekend. Lot of fun, man, a lot of fun.
Yep, Drew Gregory came on top, and we're going to bring him in and get to talking to him on this podcast. Drew, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Just exhausted. I mean, just absolutely whipped. But trust me, I am not complaining. But that is just the truth about how I feel. So I am whipped. But
Bassmaster Classic champion, how's that sound, bud?
man, it's what I've always dreamt of. Honestly, man, the AOI was great, but I've always wanted a big championship. Never won any of the big three. I've been very close. I was second KBF back there in 2019, and but just been close before to this one. Actually, closer than the standings would probably show because I lost some giant fish that would have had me win last year when I was sharing the water with Russ. But was happy for him, and then it was pretty cool that he was able to hand me the trophy this year, and that I was able to get it done. So I can kind of die a happy man, because I feel like the resume is complete with AOIs and lots of just national level wins, but now also a championship. So yeah, I don't know what to say, man.
Man, it was really cool getting to stay with you and Jake and Ryan at the
Mhm.
house, and it really made a lot like full circle. Your stress and your
Yeah.
your concern. We actually stayed at an Airbnb that was really close to where Drew launched,
Yep.
and every person in the house, there was windows facing the road that went down to the river where he launched, and every guy, oh, there's another kayaker going down the road. Oh, there's another one, and Drew's probably sitting there in his room like, gosh, oh, come on,
I was, man. I
But it's
was.
really cool. It was really cool seeing you set up your rig to fish what you were fishing.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it was the strategy I had was the same from the day one when they announced this. It was going to go up that river. It's been a river that was on my bucket list to fish anyway. And when they announced it, I was like, awesome. I get a chance to go catch some big smallies I knew lived in that river. I was shocked at how big the largemouth were, but it's going to be a fun podcast with you because you were at the house with me and I can kind of talk about now and reveal some of the it's like a reality show when they have the at the very end where the whole thing's over and the winner or whatever's all picked and they bring everyone back for the reunion show. We're going to have a little bit of reunion talk now. We can kind of open up on what I was thinking and feeling about at every moment. But that's what I did. I basically fished the river on Saturday and went, and even then I went, put the Tacoma in 4-wheel drive and went to the left away from the ramp. Upstream is to the left, you're facing the ramp upstream, and launched there on Saturday where no one else I was hoping would be, so I wouldn't be seen because people know that obviously usually I can figure out and find some fish, and I don't think it's a surprise anyway to anybody that I was up the river, but I still didn't want to be seen, just like any Elite Series pro doesn't want to be seen in practice at their on their juice, right? So I launched there, went up and caught a couple nice ones, a 20.5-inch largemouth and a nice 19.5-inch smallmouth. And I knew that's what I was doing. And so from that point forward, it was like you said, stressing. Never showed back up at that spot. Didn't want to be seen there. Stressing, watching all the cars and the trucks go by, and anglers that I know are really, really good river anglers having to fish all that stuff. Your Russes and Jodies and Matt Balls and Steve Baker, but who stayed with us as well. But and then rigging my setup, that Torqeedo, and getting it shallow to go as shallow as possible. With all that I've learned from Jeff Little and all that he's taught us, not just like me, but it's all public, out there on his channel and stuff, how to do certain things and get it to draft shallow, and adjusted that Crescent kayak shoaly where I was able to finally get it up to 6.7 miles an hour in flat water. I used to only get 6.2, but if you do the right trimming and the right adjustments and the right weight distribution, you can definitely get it up to 6.7. I now have learned, but yeah, it was crazy, man. I don't know where you guys want to begin or want me to start, but scary watching all those people go by every day and then talking to you guys at the house. It's weird because you don't want to you don't it's a weird dynamic because they're your competitors, but they're my friends and I want them to catch fish and do well too. But before the tournament, I don't ever let anyone know, and I just have to say, "Yeah, I did pretty good, caught some fish at, pocket X or whatever, just make up something kind of jokey. But you can't say where you are, what you're doing, because then it does two things. Then they feel like, oh shoot, I can't really. He's my friend. I don't want to. If he's already fishing there, I don't want to fish there. It puts them in an awkward position. And then at the same time, it also could, if they do choose to fish it, if it was something they were going to do, it clued them into maybe something that they wouldn't have found if I didn't say anything and they went up there and just tried it. And a lot of people didn't, because it was just me and Steve Baker on tournament morning on the first day. That was it.
Yeah.
So everyone that tried didn't figure it out or didn't have the setup that I had to get further up. And so they gave up on the river. But I don't know,
Drew,
man.
did you figure out, like, was this game plan pre-installed? Like, did you think that this is what you were going to do when you get here? Or is this something you worked out in practice?
No, it was all like literally when they said the words 10, like the word kill in the word Tenkiller. Like, I mean, like, we're going to have this at 10. Okay. Illinois River, I know it feeds that lake. I'm a nerd when it comes to the fisheries in this country. Maybe it's because I ran the River Bass and Tournament Trail and I've scouted all the rivers in the country, and I've used to do the Hooked on Wild Water show that I hosted, and we went all over the country for that. And when I was working with Jackson and now with Crescent and fishing these tournaments, I'm kind of a nerd in that I know, and now with running the new Kayak Adventure series that you guys are going to be a part of there in Poplar Bluff for that event. But running that series, well, you have to, I mean, I just know every lake in the country and every river and basically every creek. And I kind of know which ones are hidden gems and which ones, and this was just one of them that I had knew about. I knew it had big fish. I knew the lake had big fish too. It's not like it's just the river. I mean, you saw what the guys did in the lake. It's, fish is really good. And so the moment they announced that, I knew what I was doing, because it's the only way I could get without electronics, which I don't really use. I use the motor, but not the graphs and stuff. I mean, that's just my style, and I've stuck with it until it stops working. And so far it's, it's still working. So I haven't broken down to like, but anyway, that I knew that was the only place I could get away on that lake from anybody else. I knew the lake would be better served with electronics. You know what I mean? With those kind of banks and the type of lake it was. So yes, Travis, from the very beginning, that was the plan, man, from the moment they announced it. And
very cool.
So me sitting there having a front row seat at the house, like, we got guys in big boats, like, they're hooking up live scope. They've got a graph.
Yeah.
Some of them are going to a second graph. It was really interesting to see what you were doing, because literally he was coming to the house, rigging stuff, moving stuff, rearranging stuff, and your progression has seemed to go, other than the Torqeedo, completely opposite in the kayak fishing. Everybody's doing live scope, everybody's doing forward facing sonar, they're doing all this stuff, and you're like, I'm going with the meat and potatoes, and that's it. Like,
Yeah.
it was really, really interesting to watch. Like, even you rigging up rods, you're like, I'm only taking this rods, and I don't want to mess with this rod, and what can I get dialed in? I'd really like to hear, like, what is that, just like what you feel comfortable with, or do you feel like it takes more variables out of it for you?
A little bit of both. It actually does. It actually is nice, because when you look at a lake, there's a lot of the lake I can eliminate right off the bat, in terms of like, I'm not going to be there. So I get to hone in on those other parts. And then it's a little bit of that. It's the other part of the question, quite frankly, just to answer it like as honestly as possible. It's like, it's just working. It still works. Like, I'm going to just keep doing it until it stops. And so, that's kind of where I look on, lakes that we have tournaments on, just the places that I can get away. It's why I got into a kayak. You know what I mean? People get into kayaks for lots of reasons these days, and it might be because it's less expensive, but they still want all the live scope and all that. But I just got into it because I am passionate about fishing wild places, skinny water, rivers, creeks, like backwaters, oxbows, places that the boat can't get. It was the best tool for the places I love to fish. A boat isn't the greatest tool for the places I love to fish. It's difficult, but the kayak is. That's why I got into this. So I've just stayed true to who I am, honestly. And I've always told people, when there were rule changes with designated launches, and we've never been able to get out in portage, but on some series we could, but obviously you can't do that. There's designated launches. There's, some challenges to fishing my style. And I always said to people, they're like, what are you going to do? And I said, well, I'm still just going to fish the way I love to fish. And if for some reason it's no longer fun and I can't fish the waters that I love to fish and why I got into a kayak, my love for that trumps my love for competition and tournaments. I didn't get into kayak fishing for tournaments. These things weren't even around when I started this. So that'll always trump everything. So we'll see, you know, what I mean, I'm sure the rules and everything are fine. They're going to stay. I think we got them at good spot right now, and hopefully they'll stay this way. I don't see why we'd change it. But if for some crazy reason it just kept getting changed more and more, we're just stuck to basically the only place bass boats are, then I'm just out. You know what I mean? I'm out. I'll run my series where people can kayak fish however they want and then fish for fun, I guess.
You know, Drew, one thing I think is very important with what you're talking about right now, and I know JT's kind of in the background as our producer of the show. Um,
Yeah.
you know, that's something that we'll probably put on Hooked, the Kayak Anglers Resource Forum, is for our viewers and our customers at Eco Fishing Shop is, you know, guys think that they got to have the electronics and they got to have this and they got to have that to compete. Well, your 2024 Bassmaster Classic
Mm-hmm.
champion does not use those. And I
Yep.
think sometimes, especially somebody new in the sport, not only in the sport of kayak fishing, but fishing in general, I think when you put all that stuff, I'm actually a great example of this. Just hit me. You put all that stuff on your boat and you spend so much time trying to figure it out that you lose
Yeah.
sight of what you're doing, and that's enjoying fishing. And I think, you know, going without that stuff in the beginning and then maybe growing to it or never going to it, just figuring out your style is very important. And I think that you're a great example of not
Yeah.
following trends or following some of the things, but just doing what you love and doing what works for you. And I think a lot of people could learn from that. I mean, I think, you know, you could go grab a Jackson bite uh, and throw a Torqeedo or a Newport
Yeah.
or something on it or nothing and go out there and
Yeah.
compete and do things if you just learn to follow your skill set.
Yeah. And you're what fits your personality. This just, you know, Jonathan, you're around me and people have been around me know I'm pretty high strung. I got a lot of energy. I'm like very jittery and like it's just my personality is power fishing, you know, and so that's what I do. And the one thing I love what you just said there, Travis, because people don't understand this. They will follow the world of pro bass fishing and they will follow the sport and new things come out. You know, there's Nico rig. What's that? Something new technique to catch them. Cool. Now we got to learn that. Oh, what's a drop shot? What's a all these crazy rigs. A wacky rig now. Like there's all these things that have been invented from when I started fishing, and a lot of them are great. Don't get me wrong, but there are so many: Carolina rig, Texas rig, jerk bait, spy bait, swim bait. The list goes on. Swim. I mean, like it's just crazy how many techniques there are. Jig. I mean, it would take you guys forever. I mean, you guys, the general public, not the pros, the elites that have 300 days on the water, it would take you forever to dial those in to the level needed to where you could actually then also understand when and where to use those in a tournament. And that's kind of the issue is I'm like, well, I'd rather get good, like get just excellent, focusing more of my time on the few techniques that I know catch fish. And what I do is I just say, well, what's the technique I know I can catch them deep? A couple ways to catch them deep, a couple ways to catch them mid, a couple ways to catch them shallow, and that's it. Because I feel like lures are, if you present them correctly with the right rod, reel, line setup, the right speed, you're paying attention to the detail of how they're even put on your bait, and they look real. There's not many lures out there, these companies that make something that just is so dumb it doesn't that a bass will never eat it. They're there for a reason. They look real. So if you can just get them, and that's why I said those depth zones in front of the bass's face, the odds are you're going to get bit. And you probably could have got bit on 100 different lures at that exact depth. So why are you wasting time with all these other lures when you just need essentially one that looks realistic, that is in that right depth and speed, that zone to get by the structure cover that they're on? And then I focus more time just getting better at those few instead of learning all the other stuff until it's something is proven that you need it. You know what I mean? That you really, really need it. And I just have not gotten there yet. But anyway, that's a good point.
Yeah, I think I was talking to one of the Garmin reps there, and he was telling me, and I won't put the guy on blast because it's a bass boat guy, but he was telling me the guy had two monitors on the console and three monitors up front, had over $90,000 in his electronics, and didn't make the cut. So I mean, it's still
Yeah,
where you're slinging
it
and
is,
what
man.
you're putting in front of, you know.
It
So
is.
pretty good testimonial to that. So what's next for you, buddy?
I'm going to be focusing most of my time now on the Kayak Adventure Series, the first stop at Palooza. So for me, that's what it is. It's all my focus is going on that. I'm not going to have time, unfortunately, to fish the KBF National Championship. And I was really contemplating it, but I'm going to go. This has definitely thrown a wrinkle in things for sure. It's taken up a lot of my week this week, so good problem to have. But then the next tournament I'm fishing is the Bassmaster on Gunnersville. Sorry, just airdropped a video that I want to play for you guys later of that big bass. We can pull it on the screen. But anyway, the Gunnersville Bassmaster with the next one. I'm only fishing, probably only going to get to fish 3 Bassmaster regular season events, 3 of the 5, and then obviously this one. So I only fished 4 this year. I'm probably not fishing any Hobies and KBFs. I might fish a couple local events, but just running that Kayak Adventure Series is a full-time job. I mean, it really is as well. So I want those 6 events to go off without a hitch, presented by GoPro, and they've come on board big. And a lot of people are kind of watching and counting on it. And so I want to make sure I focus all my time and effort on that. But I'll fish at least the minimum for AOI. And I've won before fishing the minimum. Both my AOIs came on the minimum number of events. So maybe I could still give that a run, but I don't care. I won this championship and I'm like happy as could be. I don't care. Dude. I'm just gonna go fishing now. Just pressure's off on all that stuff. So
let's see that clip of that big
yeah,
fish.
the clip is right here. Little foamy pit, about 10 inches of water. That's a slough. All looking back there. It's not the river. That's a slough, a backwater slough. Goes way back there.
Yes! Oh, my old faithful Project Z chatterbait. Look at the size of this thing, dude. Oh, that is a gift from God. 22 inches.
You don't love it at all, do you, Drew?
Yeah. You love those Smiths, Travis? Those are Smiths,
There you
man.
go.
You should see those Smiths he's got. I'm gonna go buy a pair.
Yeah, what model?
I think those are called the Pursuit, I believe. I'll look here.
Very nice. Big Smith guy.
Sure. There she goes. Yeah, I got a screenshot of that, of what they were, because people have been asking me what model those are, so I had to take a screenshot and share it.
They're gonna be sold out.
To some people. Anyway.
There you go.
Yeah, they're the Pursuits. Yeah, Pursuit.
Yeah.
So
we stock most all the Smiths here, but I don't think we have the Pursuits.
We may.
Well, you're gonna have to take a look.
Yeah, they aren't really as much they aren't really as much supposed to be focused on the fishing side. But there are a couple that they make that are more full face like that, that you see there. Your Chris Zaldane kind of made popular, Milliken. I saw Matty Wong wearing some basically ski goggles the other day on the water. But it is nice for the second day I wore those. It was cloudy, and these are amber lenses, so it makes everything look like it's sunny outside and beautiful, and it brightens it up and helps you see in the water a little bit better. And I like this how big it is, because when you're looking around in your peripheral vision, it bugs me when I can't see because of the part of the frame, right? Yeah. So I just want to see, looking left, right, down, everywhere, just super clear. And they were awesome. So it never fogged up. It was definitely cool to have those. I don't know how cool they look, but whatever. I don't care.
Well, if anybody's looking for a set of Smith Pursuits to put in your Drew Gregory shoalie with Torqeedo, hit us up at Eagle Fishing Shop.
There you go.
Send you the full setup.
Look at that plug. I love it.
Hey man, absolutely appreciate your time. I enjoyed traveling with you guys and hanging out at the house. Man, guys, Drew Gregory is just great guy. He's always personable, always willing to answer questions. I mean, I don't know anybody that could have won it and represent the brand and all that. So
one testimony to that, Jonathan, is the man wins the classic, big heavy trophy, shows up at the pizza place where we're all having dinner later and spend some time with us. I mean, I know he had a busy schedule, but we all got to hang out. Sent him home with some pizza because he still wasn't eating by then. Yeah. I think he was still freaked out. But man, we appreciate the time that you spend with us, not only as Eco Fishing Shop, but as friends. So thank you for that.
Yeah, that was good. No, thank you guys, man, for it took me forever to get there. I was in the media center all day long. Again, good problem to have. They had some really nice food backstage there. All the elite anglers were coming in after their weigh in and getting pictures with me and the trophy. They were all super happy for me. Even the ones who, maybe didn't have the best day, they get, what being there alone is just an accomplishment. And they get, that one day doesn't define them, or, it's tough when they come, you're seeing them for the first time when they just got off the stage, good or bad. You know what I mean? So I just really appreciate the ones who didn't have the best day. Your Drew Cook, who had a late penalty, Carl Jakobsen, different folks that were, dude, just as happy for me, smiling so big in the photo, like, yeah, let's get a photo together, and this is cool. And it was just a good time being back there. It took me a while, and eventually I did get to the pizza place. Thank you guys for having me there and giving me the winner's welcome. And I called Jake and I said, man, should I bring the trophy in? Is that like awkward or weird? He's like, no, bring it on, man, bring it in. We want to see it. So I brought it in. You guys were like all clapping and cheering as I held it up, and that was pretty cool. So yeah, definitely all of it will be memories I will cherish forever. And like I said, just feel like weight's just been lifted, man. It's exciting. So
well, we're glad to be part of it. Can't wait to see what you do next. Excited for the Kayak Adventure Series.
Yeah.
Should be good times.